Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. So, today, at the request of a bunch of people, not only in my stream, but also in my server, I am going to be going over the talents that I will be using to boost in the pre-patch to the Burning Crusade. So I've gone with a build that I think is going to give some people who are not as well geared as I am some good defensive options, while also trying to maximize the amount of damage that they can do. So first off, we are putting 5 points into Improved Devotion Aura. It's basically just a defensive option for a lot of people. If they don't have things like a Force of Will, or they don't have really high spell power to make it so that the drained life from their Demon Forge or their Skullflame Shield are quite up to snuff, the extra armor is obviously going to help reduce incoming damage. Next is 5 points into Redoubt. Obviously, this is just going to give you a bunch of damage mitigation. Redoubt gets a massive buff in the pre-patch. Rather than having to be critically struck, it's just a flat 10% chance when you are struck in combat. So, huge buff, very useful. The charges do get used up quickly, but Redoubt itself gets replied just as quickly because you're pulling so many mobs. Next is 5 points into Toughness, 10% extra armor from your items. Pretty straightforward mitigation. Next is 3 points into Improved Righteous Fury. So for carries, you're basically just going after the flat 6% damage reduction that you are getting from the skill. Huge buff in pre-patch over top of the previous iteration of Improved Righteous Fury. Next is Shield Specialization. This is going to be more useful if you are doing some AoE farming in the later levels, and just going to make sure that all the damage that is blocked is fully blocked. Next, we are just putting a couple points into Anticipation. The defense skill really isn't that necessary. You could honestly put those 2 points into Stoicism if you want. If you're having trouble with the stuns that are happening in Stockades, then I would highly recommend taking those 2 points out and then putting them into Stoicism. That is completely fine. Especially if you are mainly doing Stockade runs, the 10% stun resist is pretty nice. So, finally, in the protection tree, we are going after Blessing of Sanctuary. As most of you guys know, this is just a massive damage reduction to the melee damage coming in, as well as every time you block, obviously you will a lot with Redoubt, you are going to get a lot of procs from your Blessing of Sanctuary for the extra damage. Next, we are putting 1 point into Reckoning. Again, when you're doing these massive pulls, the 2% chance to proc the extra attacks is normally going to be more than enough. And you're going to get the extra chances of getting your Seal of Wisdom or Seal of Light because you're attacking twice. Next is 5 of 5 for one-handed weapon specialization. So this is another ability that gets a massive buff coming pre-patch. It doesn't just increase the damage of your weapon, it increases all of your damage. It increases your Consecrate, it increases your Seals, it also increases your Flame Strike and your Drain Life by that 5%. I've already tested this on the beta. It does affect all of those abilities, so the one-hand specialization is just a flat 5% damage increase across all of your abilities. Now, for me, I've seen some people asking about Ardent Defender. If you are having problems with your survivability, then you can definitely drop some of your talents in the Ret tree or you could try to find spaces to go into Ardent Defender, so that when you get to that low life health pool, then you're going to get the flat damage reduction. Personally, I do not see a need for it. So next, a lot of people have asked me about, well, what about Holy Shield? That's going to give me some extra blocks. Again, when you are mass pulling, you're pulling 40, 50, 60 mobs at a time, the charges on Holy Shield are going to disappear almost instantly. It's not worth the damage. It's not worth the mana. I would not go into it. So next we're going to go over to the Ret tree. So we're getting Benediction, reducing the mana cost of your Judgment and Seals by 15%. You are going to judge and you are going to seal in your Stockade and your SM runs every once in a while. Applying Light or Wisdom to the highest health mob and swinging away at them can help those people who are having trouble with either their health or their mana. So saving mana is always nice. Next is the Improved Judgment. It's just nice to do if you also want to farm, and you're just trying to spend points at this point as well to get into the next tier. Next, Improved Seal of the Crusader. This is kind of nice because if you are trying to kill a boss, like if, say, you're trying to kill Herod at the end of Armory, or you're trying to kill the two bosses at the end of Cathedral, this adds a little bit of extra crit, and everybody can swing away at them. Next is going to be 5 points into parry. This is just going to essentially give you 5% damage reduction to melee as long as you are facing the mobs. On top of that, the 5% parry is good for parry hasting, and that's going to give you faster attacks and then possibly more Seal of Light, Seal of Wisdom procs. So next we are putting 3 points into Pursuit of Justice. I mean, what can you say about it? It reduces your chance to be struck by spells. This is incredibly useful in SM Cathedral because the wizards in there will sometimes cast slow, they will cast frost bolts, and when they slow you, if you do not resist them, it can be a bit annoying. You have to spend mana on cleanse, and again, you have to wait a GCD to come out of it, and the mobs catch up to you a little bit. On top of that, 15% movement speed is invaluable for running around. If you don't want to go and get Zanzipots all the time, then this is going to be absolutely invaluable for pretty much everyone. Next, we have 3 points into Crusade. Since most Paladins are going to be boosting in either Stockades or SM, 3% flat damage to humanoids is pretty darn good. And then it's also 3% to undead. So if you go to SM Graveyard, you're still getting that 3%. And again, I've tested this on the beta. That 3% does affect your Consecrate. It does affect your Drained Life. It does affect your Flame Strike from your Skull Flame Shield. So again, amazing, amazing ability for that flat damage increase. And then finally, if you are not having any problems with your defense, you're not losing very much life on your pulls, then Sanctity Aura is obviously going to increase the damage of all of your holy spells by 10%. So if your Consecrate is ticking for 110, it'll start ticking for 121. Just a nice, flat, big damage bonus to your AoE spell. So this is the build that I personally will be doing in pre-patch. I will be releasing another video on what I believe is the optimal build for doing runs when you're level 70 for, say, things like Undead Stratholme and other high-level dungeons. So I hope that was informative. I hope that gives you a good idea of what you want to run during pre-patch when you're boosting people. I hope all the Paladins out there get a lot of gold. I hope you guys make absolute bank during the pre-patch. I know I'm personally going to be streaming at least 6 hours a day. I'm going to be doing boosts, and I'm hoping to walk out of pre-patch a lot richer than walking into it. And of course, if you have any questions on my builds, my gear, or if you just want to see me run some raids with the guild or doing lots of GDKPs, you can always head over to my Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/TheDukeOfTBC. I stream there every day at 9 p.m. PST, sometimes a little sooner. but I normally stream for about 4 to 5 hours. Again, I hope you found the video informative, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!